So we've been in this pattern in BC for quite a while due to this upper level low where thunderstorms have really dominated southern British Columbia in particular. And that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, more or less. And that's finally coming to an end, right? I mean, there's some thunderstorms maybe in this week coming a little bit here and there, but no, like meteorologically speaking, that pattern is over. The upper level low has finally pushed through dramatically on Friday and is now heading out through the prairies to the northeast. I'm Joey Only, Caribbean Weather Dude. This is bad news, but today we're going to talk about how warm it's going to get, so maybe for once it's good news. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Get on! Wow.
I'll watch the video later. Ain't dry mopping this.
Do you ever wonder what it's like to communicate with the public during an emergency? This forecast is brought to you by the Wildfires, Floods, and Chaos Communications Podcast. That's at communicationspodcast.ca. The first season's online already. It dives into the information officer role at fires they've been at, such as the Caribou, Lillooet, and Shuswap regions last summer. They've been up to Fort McMurray as well, doing the information officer job. So this is the tell-all graphic. Here's our sort of storm system that's now pushing out through the prairies. It's dominated BC, made for a very stormy Friday when it finally started to conclude. And we're going to start to see maybe a little bit more of that this week. But bam, here comes the big rebound. Here comes right in time for September, second summer. False fall is over. That's what meteorologist Mark calls it, false fall. And this is basically what we're going to be talking about this whole time. This jet stream, how it's going to allow the heat to escape this crazy heat wave that's going down in Texas, where they've had record-breaking temperatures going on, like all-time high temperatures, all-time, not just daily highs, all-time highs being broken. So when you got all-time highs being broken in Texas. So here's what happened today. Our low-pressure system has moved out into the prairies, and look, you can really see the motion on here. We'll go have a look at that in a minute. It's becoming basically kind of like a mid-latitude cyclone, and we got this high pressure down here, and then it just gives us another look at how that storm moved up through British Columbia and its general motion, and making powerful thunderstorms, pulling powerful thunderstorms up into the prairies there. Should be interesting for them on Sunday. But we're not here to talk about thunderstorms. We're not here to talk about this low anymore. We're here to talk about what's coming next. So as you can see, still down in Texas, extreme heat. Bam, down in Southern California, 39s. Have a look at Monday. So a couple key features we see developing here already. This high pressure is taking over. High pressure is moving inland. High pressure moves clockwise, so it's going to bring warm air up towards the province of British Columbia. Tuesday, we see a little bit more of a complicated dynamic as that low continues to be sort of stubborn up there. It's sort of trapped. However, new low down there in Baja, that's going counterclockwise. That's sending heat into this high, sending heat. They're both channeling their way towards British Columbia. By Thursday, we now really see the high pressure taking over. We see this low bringing that heat north and the high pressure channeling it right up to British Columbia. And that's what's going to help make it for a warm weekend. This very unique setup, but not that unique. It's one we've seen many times over the years. But that thinking is by September 1st, we're going to start seeing some very warm temperatures in BC finally making their way down in Washington State. Perhaps this is just one model. We're looking kind of way out. But all the models seem to agree on the impending warmth moving into Western Canada. We look at a GFS graphic. So the temperature's still down a little bit this week, but we start to see those temperatures that are nearing 30 coming up into British Columbia by the weekend. So GFS is looking at a little warmer than what ECMWF is saying. And as we get into next month, see Western Canada getting very, very hot in places. Looks like the mid, approaching high 30s, maybe even 40, according to GFS. Again, this is looking out a ways already. We're looking at Friday the 6th. But that could be the trend that dominates the first part of the month of September. And just to show how models diverge, the ensemble shows a whole bunch of different runs of the models, and they all kind of say something different, but we have like kind of have the average playing out here. Here you go, bam. Very high heat down in the States, into the 40s again, like they've had record-breaking temperatures down there. And not just for this time of year, but all-time records being broken in places. But again, as you come into the beginning of September, we see that heat making its way up the west coast, making its way into BC, and then finding its way up the mountains into Alberta, where they'll probably get a longer period of heat than BC might get. Just by the looks of it, looks like they'll get more extreme heat possibly. But again, take this all with a grain of salt. What I can say is 30-degree temperatures are not out of the question in Western Canada. It's the beginning of September. And even though that jet stream is murky right now, it's not going to stay that way. So there may be a little bit of thunderstorms as things work themselves out this week. Nothing that looks too exciting to me. That seems to be more for the prairies as well still. But yeah, don't be surprised if it takes a little while for this pattern to work its way in, before this high starts to really build its way in. Rainfall accumulation, Sunday, overnight, Monday, looking at North Coast seeing quite a bit. Things are going to play out into BC in a way that should be still some precip to the mountains and whatnot, maybe in northern BC still by Tuesday, but we're going to see an end of that trend, see what we see. So from Wednesday on, Wednesday the 27th, Wednesday the 28th on, it doesn't look like we're forecasting for much precipitation in British Columbia whatsoever because of this high pressure that's going to be dominating. So I hope that just clarifies a little bit some of the talk about hotter weather at the start of September, the end of false fall, the beginning of the second summer, and we did have had a bit of a roller coaster this year. I think this pattern we just had, it did bring a little bit of snow to parts of the Apex Mountains and places like Apex Mountain Ski Resort and a few places like that down south. I think it's indicative of what we could expect this fall when we kind of move into a weak La Nina pattern. I'm going to have a video, I think, this week that kind of talks about that a little bit, what we could be expecting for BC this winter, this fall. But for now, that's sort of what you get looking at this. Next week, got to be patient. Got to get through this next bunch of days, but the hot weather is going to start to build in, and the conditions are going to steadily improve from probably Tuesday on out. All right. Hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Thanks to communicationspodcast.ca for sponsoring the videos, of course, and all my patrons and supporters. Can't really do it without you. Go to Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers on Facebook and join the group where I've been making predictions for 10 years and more or less nailing it. Yeah. Okay, that's all for me tonight.